Hey, everybody. Our countdown thing went away.
Oh, well, we just changed platforms on me. Good evening, everybody. This is Anthony. I'm here with Trudi tonight on Clean Humor. We're starting off real good. Our little platform thing, we usually have a countdown thing and I can get ready. So I didn't get ready for that one. It just didn't happen. But we're here tonight with Josh from Seal and Law. He's going to be at the Panhandle Warehouse the 10th of next month, or is this the first? Today the first?
Today's the first.
Yeah, that's this month.
10th of this month.
Yeah.
And going to do some training on sealing and staining too, I guess.
Where he's going to be washing. We got a nice dirty pad that he can wash, which is
Okay, well,
Yeah.
So, and then
Trudy's going to get her patio cleaned for free. That's
There
the
you
whole,
go.
that's the whole key. The whole key to this is what it is. Well, she hooked you in, buddy, line, sinker, and all. But,
actually
anyway, if you ain't done it already, go to panhandleexpo.com, get registered for the Panhandle event in November in Panama City Beach. We look forward to that. It's going to be an exciting event. A lot of contractors are coming in. It's a free event for everybody. And we just want to support Panhandle and the things they do for the industry. So if you ain't went and got registered for that, I encourage you to go get registered for that right now.
The videos and stuff are on there from last year, so it's got some really great content on that website for education as well.
Okay. Well, Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
So I've been in the industry for about 5 years now. Not too deep into it, like a lot of folks on there, but I've learned so much by people who have been in the industry for a long time. I've been to several events. I've been to Trudi's events. She puts on one heck of an event. Really nice. Yeah, we love it every time we go. We're actually going to be part of that, Trudi. You sent over the forms. We're going to get that taken care of.
Nice.
So we can go out there and support that as well. I've been sealing for quite a while. Started with different products. I always say everybody got a good product. Just went on hands-on by myself and educated myself, learned from the other folks, and just kept going, man. Kept going, and it's something that I truly enjoy doing. I wash tons of houses. I tell people this all the time. I wash tons of houses, tons of roofs, and I can tell you that there's something satisfying when you do paver work. From start to finish. Just if you do it the right way, it's truly something very beautiful. I tell guys all the time what we do is considered a luxury. So anytime that somebody invites you into their home or on their property to do any work, you want to make sure that you're treating it with the best quality that you can. I love it, man. I love it. Every job that I'm on, whether I'm doing it on the side or I'm at Seal and Lock doing trainings or I'm going to trainings at other locations, I can tell you that I look around and every time I look at the pavers, I say the same thing. And I say, this is going to look good. This is going to look good.
Such a difference. I mean, it just makes them, it's like my face, and if I put makeup on, it'd be great, but I don't miss my time. So yeah, it's like putting makeup on pavers. It just brings out the color and the shine, and it looks great. I love it doing it.
I love it. And I was stuck in my ways. I used to dry sand a lot. And that was what I was taught at the beginning. When I first started wet sanding, I'll never forget it. I was gifted a broom with the jets on the bottom, and you would hook a hose to it. And I tried it, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I ended up letting it dry out and doing it all over with the dry sand. But then as I started learning, when I got taught the proper technique to it, now all I do is wet sand.
I got a comment on this thing that we need to clear some stuff up real quick. Like,
what is it? We got Kyle Laird on here. We got Michelle. Kelly Nielsen's on here. John Veit and Kelly is again. It's still attacking me. It's okay.
Here we go.
Me.
Yeah.
Got something. Let's see how to scroll.
I seen it. We're not worried about that. No, we're gonna keep it going, and we're here.
I think to dress something, man. I don't care. Yeah, what's up, my little brother?
Yeah.
Got a lot of
Everybody,
on here and Texoma pressure washing. So, hey guys, welcome. So yeah, you were talking about your passion about the
oh,
which is awesome.
I love it. I love it. I really enjoy it. There's an art to it. I tell everybody. I've been doing it for a while. Every time I educate somebody on doing this, I always tell them like, listen, man, you can use whatever product you choose to. Of course, we want you guys to use our product. We don't bash anybody. We say everybody has a great product. You pick and choose what works for you. And you use that. The techniques are pretty much the same thing. When you get somebody to teach you the right way, you have options. As I said, you can dry sand, you can wet sand, when to tint, when not to tint, when to strip, when not to strip, things like that. But I like the industry as a whole. I'm very close to people who actually promote other products. Very good friends with them, and we have conversations on the phone. And sometimes I go out to their events, they come out to my events. We just support each other all the way around, and I think that's what it is, man. It really comes down to that. I've had contractors in the area that they say, hey Josh, I just got this job. I'll be honest with you, I've never sealed before, and is there any way you can help me? We just went out yesterday and we did a huge job we did it actually with one of the former Bucks players. Who's probably, I know, the only one in the industry that's sealing pavers right now as a retired Bucks player. And yeah, he loves it. He loves it. We went out there. I did some training with him. We did some work together. I seen that too. These people are nuts. But these people are nuts. I wish we can just get rid of them. But it is what it is. But we're super excited to be joining your event. I didn't get to tell you this, but I'm actually allergic to seafood.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yes.
We'll have other food from you. So I don't eat crawfish, so we'll have something for us. We can share it.
I remember my first time out there in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
I was visiting Stephen Venturini. I was staying at Stephen Venturini's house.
He's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I love Stephen. Me and Stephen are very close, very, very close. And he was taking me for the ride on the Mississippi, and I was looking at everything, and I started seeing how everybody he was showing me how people were catching all that crawfish stuff. And I was like, dude, you guys eat that? I'm like, that's nuts. I'm like, it's muddy, it's dirty. What are you guys doing? And he's like,
mud bugs.
Yeah, he's like, it's big out here. And I'm like, and my wife, she's from Louisiana, and she loves that kind of stuff. Oh. But yeah, I don't play with it. No. No. And it's just, I'm the same way with chickens and beefs. If you do something in front of me and I see it happen, just take me to Publix. Yeah. Take me to Publix. I don't want anything to do with it.
My mom, I think I was like 10 years old, and my mom and my grandma, we just moved over from England, and I was raised on a farm. My dad shot or caught anything we ate, pheasants, rabbit, whatever. And he grew all the vegetables, and so whatever was dinner was what he got shot, or whatever. But I'd never seen it. Never seen it happen, and they were always ready when I got home from school. So when I moved to America, my step grandma, she bought like 50 chickens. And I looked out the window and heard my mom, like, all I seen was these chickens running with no heads. And I was losing my mind. I was just like, oh my God. I didn't eat chicken for 5 years because I'm like, they've got to be dead right now. Like, I can't eat the headless chickens. But it was crazy. But yeah, we do a lot of paving here. I know I've done a couple educational videos on that with us out in the field. Guess I'm gonna have to get a new camera lightened up a bit, but I don't know if I have to do it. But
I think you might need to clean it. You're real blurry.
I just did clean it. I don't have nothing to clean it with in here. Oh, there you go. I think it's all better.
There you go. Just stay right there.
So anyway, so the paving class is going to happen. How many hours are you going to need? Because we can take a break for lunch after cleaning and sanding.
Yeah.
Do it after, or you could do it. I don't know how long it takes you. It's not a big area, but Kyle's going to leave it dirty.
Yeah, we like to, Trudi, I try to I don't set times on the trainings. I try to educate and just, I never look at the clock. So, we'll just follow the process of it. So if we wash it and we wet sand it as we're waiting for it, there's always people that have questions because I like to cover a lot of things. I like to cover how to get leads, free advertising, how to use, most importantly, how to use our products, our brochures and stuff that we supply distributors with to close deals. It's huge, because a customer always wants something in their hands. And as long as you leave them something in their hands, as opposed to an estimate, when you have information and stuff, it's just more professional. And then they understand it. They look it over with their significant others. And, 9 out of 10 times you're closing a deal by just having a manufacturer back you up on an estimate. Yes. So we like to cover all those. Then we get the questions of the guys that, never sealed before. And I usually can pick them out from the crowd. They're usually the quiet ones, the ones that kind of shift backwards. Those are the ones that, we try to focus on because user error is huge. People blame products, they blame, motors and whatnot. But if you're not educating yourself on maintenance or how to do these things or use these things properly, we all need somebody to blame, So I see that happen a lot. I see it happen a lot. So, but we're super excited to go down there. You don't even know. I'm going to take the wife actually down there with me.
Crawfish.
Oh, she's pushing the sand around. She don't know it yet, but she's pushing the sand around.
Oh, Lord, we're gonna see how. Let us know. Well, we'll see how that works out for you.
Yeah, I'll be coming back. I'll have to stay out there. I'll be the one looking for a hotel out there.
I was gonna say, let us know how that works out for you, but we're gonna get to see that in firsthand.
I hear it. Now I've never taken her with me. I've always traveled alone, in and out. So her being a school teacher and being off during the summer, she's excited to be able to go with me a couple places and spend some time.
Awesome. That's good.
Yeah.
So is this Seal Lock? Is it your company or is it a company you work for?
It's in the process. It's in the process. We don't want to speak on it yet, but I will be taking over the company.
Speak that thing in existence, man.
Oh yeah, I will. I am. I'm in the process of stepping in. Rich is going to retire, so I'll be running the company and making sure that we're putting everything we have into the industry and educating people and giving them good products.
Yeah, I know up here where I'm at, this part of Alabama, we don't have a lot of pavers around. It's mostly just concrete. If we do, it's stamped concrete and it looks like pavers, but
right.
So we got in a job last year it was the border of the driveway was stamped and it was tinted and everything, and she wanted it come in there and take it all off and then reseal it and everything. Man, they won't take it. I didn't care much for it in the first one. And it was a huge driveway.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. It was sealed it, so then you could show them how to strip it too. Yeah,
we can strip. Yep, we can strip it. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that people need to learn is when to and when not to strip pavers and how to do it properly, because stripping can be very, very messy. I remember doing a pool deck that, they just caked on this sealer on there. And when we stripped it, we had 2 5-gallon buckets filled with old sealer. Plus we had to rinse the cage off and everything. Because once it gets on the cage, if you let it dry, forget it. You're going to be there with a brush on that cage.
There.
It's messy.
Yeah.
Very, very messy.
I had to strip a lot of pavers. This is nice.
I'm about to have an unglue. I'm itching, Trudi.
No, just leave it.
Yeah. We don't. we spread positivity. We don't.
We do. Positivity.
We don't.
Education and camaraderie.
Somebody may need a seal. Somebody need to have some training in some sealing.
Yeah. You want to seal up here?
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, David Rivers is here. Charles Taunton, Michael Scott, Aaron Hewitt, To Go Pro, Centra. I can't read that whole name. It's cut off. Who else we got? Mark. Hey, Mark. Juliana's here. Michelle. Yep. So we already said hi to everybody. So.
Oh, I see that. There's a good question there, Trudy, I want to address.
Yes, go right ahead.
It's to Tim DeBar. Hey, we're already in the process of that. We understand. I know everything that has happened during that season. We're only as good as our suppliers. But we take full accountability for things like that. And we definitely have already reached out to several contractors and we've made it right with them. And we're back to the original formula, which was the original formula people loved. That's taken care of. If you have any questions or anything, you can always contact me directly and we can talk about this. Or if you want me to send you out something so you can try out and know that it's back to the original formula, hey, we have nothing to hide. All of our cards are on the table.
And we used it years ago. I mean, you were the first sealer we carried with Seal and Lock, was the first one. We used it for years, and then there was some supply issues during COVID, and then the formula changed. So you guys sent us some, we used it, and it is exactly like the original formula.
Yeah, man, Trudy, when I tell you, I drove home tired today because we are cranking. We're starting to get a lot of contractors, distributors back. It's taken off the way it needs to. I'm checking everything. I come from the hospitality industry. I did 14 years of that.
Yeah.
So everything, that's a tough industry. So, I've had the best labor, the best food costs, had the cleanest kitchen. So that alone will tell you that, everything that I do, it has to be to the T. If something changes, we're not playing with it. I'd rather not sell something and wait before, but we're building a blanket. We have a really nice blanket right now. So we're not worried at all about supply.
Yep. Well, we noticed as contractors that the washing through COVID was strong, but the sealing was a luxury. We didn't seal anything. It was like non-existent during that time because people were out of work, but they wanted to have their house clean because, you don't want germs and stuff with COVID. So they wanted it all clean but it's picking up. We have done so many paver ceilings the last few months.
Yeah. I love seeing the new guys that are coming into it now. The new guys that are starting to learn, I tell them all the time, I'm like, guys, man, this is something that, there's an art to it. And I tell them, if you're chasing the money, this isn't for you. You want to chase relationships, not the money, because the money's always going to be there. The relationship isn't. I've taken care of one family. I started off with the mom's house, and now every time they purchase a house, I'm the first person they call, and I'm taking care. I've done already the sons. I've done both sons, the daughter. We're scheduled to do the other daughter's house. And it's all because of the relationship and how you treat people. And I think people are starting to forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're forgetting that.
They are, because customer, without them, you're nobody. You're nobody.
Mm-hmm.
They're going after the almighty dollar.
Yeah. And, and even we're just as good. I'm only as good as my warehouse team. I've got Michelle. Michelle is phenomenal. Michelle, when I tell you, will do anything for the company. She is there 7:30 in the morning, making sure these orders are going out before we even get there at 8 o'clock. The office lights are turned on by Michelle before we even arrive. So it's like, she's phenomenal. We got Keith. Keith is always doing repairs, making batches, pumping it out. We got a really, really good team. And, I've learned this from the restaurant industry that I'm only as good as them. If we don't succeed, it's because me being put in a position of leadership, I'm not doing my part. So, I appreciate everyone, every one of them.
Sorry, I got a message here. Anyway, so customer service, that is huge all around. And so is, no tail light warranties. Your customer is a customer from beginning to end until they're happy and satisfied. And if you go the extra, when Shane and I go, we do paving, seal pavers, they want the driveway, but there's a little walk path right to the back. And I'm just like, you know what? let's just do
Take
that.
care of it.
So
Yeah.
you do that, you give them a little extra, just like when I send the packages out from Panhandle. We always put a little extra in there to show the contractors or our customers that we appreciate who they are and thank them for their support, for small business. And I think that's the way you need to be treating everybody.
Yes. That's so important. We did the same thing. I mean, when I came into this, Trudi, people were they would tell me, "Why are you showing all your tricks? Why are you doing that? You need to." And I used to say to them all the time, I'm like, "Listen, what I do with it is between me and the man upstairs. What they do with it, that's on them." I believe in watching people succeed and allowing people an opportunity to become successful. Because if I would have known this industry before I was in the restaurant business, I tell you, I would have started a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because I was in that restaurant business. I was home. I was working every weekend, so I didn't get to coach football. I didn't get to be involved in the kids' sports or anything like that. It took a real toll on my body and mental too. But so when I got into the industry and I seen what you can do and how easy it is to do with the right people around you, I said, this is it. This is it. Yep.
Definitely people trip over pennies trying to chase that dollar. Relationship first, money always follows. Yeah, I made a post not too long ago. I said, I don't want customers, I want relationships.
Yes.
And that relationship, they're going to stick with you. They're going to be loyal, and they're going to, they're going to be with you from everything they need. It's like they want their house washed or the roof. They're going to keep calling you because you have built that relationship.
Yes. I mean, we worked, Trudi. I was on that phone 2:30 in the morning. I was working Instagram last night because it was going off about the events and the pails that we were, and I was there. I got to work this morning. I was so beat, but I said, you know what? These people, they're contractors.
Yep.
They're excited, or they're either excited or they're worried.
Yeah.
And either way, they want somebody they can trust that they can call on. And I had that. I was able to have that phone line with a lot of people in the industry. That Mark Giuliano was one of them. Steven Venturini was one. Several of them. That if I had an issue, I remember calling them and saying, "Hey man, I got an issue here. What do you think? Can I send you some photos?" Mark Giuliano taught me how to tint. Which was amazing because I had the tint bottle and I had the sealer, but not knowing how much to put in. Something was going to change here, and it might have not come out the way I wanted it to if I didn't have those kind of people around me. But it's just having good people around you, man. And I see so many people that are just misguided with false information, or I even seen guys who ask for help, and then the guys come to the job and they take 70% of the profit, and these guys are left there with very little because they haven't learned it completely.
Yes.
And it'll take 5 or 6 jobs for them just to start doing it on their own and making their own money. And I was always on the guys about that. I'd say, listen, I'm going to show you everything from start to finish. I'm going to show you, and then you're going to show me.
Nice.
The training pad, we got 850 square feet of training pad at the warehouse. That pad has been sealed and stripped more times that we're actually thinking about replacing it, because the idea that I have in my head is to have about 300 square feet of it as pavers, or maybe even 4, and then do a little marble and then do a little travertine. So because there's different techniques to everything. And if we can have it all on one pad, we can demonstrate that to people and show them the tips and tricks on to do this, because people think it's just spray and go. It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
Can you do it over and over and over as many times as you want to? I know it's stone. I know it's a coarse surface and all that, but is there a point in time where you guys say is enough and it needs to be replaced?
When the aggregate starts to show, you're either tinting it or replacing it. For training purposes, we're going to replace it because we want to make sure that we're giving the contractors a full experience and that we're not just giving them, throw a little color on there and call it the day. So, yeah, but there is a point where you have to make that decision because not all pavers can be fixed.
Right.
Is that something that you could tell a customer if you go out and look at a job, or is it something that you'd have to wait till you get it stripped off to see what the surface actually looks like? I mean, cause I'm new to sealing, man. I'm probably going to be all up in your stuff.
Let's talk. Let's talk. So there's different ways, I tell people, set expectations, always customers do not want to be caught off guard,
No.
So if it's something that is out of your league, okay, make sure that you communicate that with them, because if you don't, I mean, it can get nasty. Some of these houses that we touch, they're $1 million, $2 million homes. And they don't play around when it comes to their property. They're very, very strict. But if you get to a job and you start to see a lot of aggregate, or the pavers are starting to deteriorate you'll start to notice that. Then those are the ones that you want. If it's all over, if it's a few of them, you'll be okay with it. Just as long as when you do spray it with sealer that you're blowing that out, because you don't want that to coagulate in there. But anything else you can pretty much fix with a little bit of tint and stuff, but it's all on the homeowner. Pavers, I know some people will consider pavers very expensive. I think it's like $9 to $12 a square foot to do that. But it's all on the customer's preferences.
Right.
So let's talk about, I had a couple people message me and ask my opinion on some pavers. They get the calcite, the calcium on it, they turn white. I've had somebody calling me about a stripper because it wasn't put on correctly, and then the water got underneath. Or no, they sealed it when the pavers were still wet, and then they could see. Yeah, so they had to strip it and do that again. So there's if they have the calcite, that white on them, what do you use to clean that off?
So we have a efflorescence remover. With that, you would just go ahead, you would apply that on there. I always tell people, you got to make sure you work that in sections, because it's not like SH where you can just coat the whole thing and then go back and rinse it. If you leave it on there too long, it can cook the paver.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to make sure that you're applying that in sections and that you're getting it on there, and then you're rinsing it off real nice, power washing it off. And what that does is it's just basically melting away that calcium on there. And that's what you're looking for. But a lot of times that happens because people are so determined to seal right away.
Yes.
I tell people, if it's okay, if you can prep 3 jobs in a day, and then tomorrow all you have to do is carry your sprayer, your sand, not even your sand, because maybe a couple bags of dry sand for touch-ups. But if the less you have to carry, the better off you are. You seal one day, wash one day, seal the next day.
Yeah.
Now you can do it in one day. We
always went early, and we washed and we wet sand also. We do that morning, and then we go to lunch. And in Florida, it's hot. They dry. They dry quick. Yep. And we've never had an issue with it. But let's talk about sand though, because I've heard guys going to Home Depot and buying play sand. Is that the sand to do?
I'll tell you what. If you want to build a clubhouse, yes. But if you don't want to build a clubhouse, don't play with that sand. Hey, when I first started, I actually did that. And I'm going to be honest with you. I did that one time. And when I opened that sand bag up and I poured it on the pavers, and I seen how, first of all, they're moist because they're held in the bag. Yes. And when I put it down and I tried grooming it, Lord, it was just, it was the most messiest thing that I've ever done. And then when you spray sealer on it that, it doesn't even really lock it, because it's so soft.
Yeah.
So I did that mistake one time. So when people talk to me about that kind of sand, I'm like, dude, hold off, relax, just go right ahead and start, just wait for the power washing store to open and go get your silica sand. Don't force this.
Now I see guys too, I tell them that the sand has to be at least 1/8 of an inch from the top of the paver. Is that correct? You don't want it you don't want it all the way flush.
No, you don't want it all the way flush. So it's not supposed to look like a checkerboard. Yeah. Okay. I see that happen a lot. It's supposed to be 1/8 of an inch below the paver lip line, and it's supposed to look 3D. Okay. So that's the whole point, is that when you're sealing the pavers, that top pores of the pavers are fully sealed. The water beats off of that and it runs into the sand joints, and it plays as a drain. So it's like a gutter system at your home.
Yep.
So it's the same exact thing. And when you have that sand level too high, two things are going to end up happening. First of all, the traction from the foot or the cars coming on and off of it, you're wasting sand. It's going to be messy. Okay. And if you're doing it on a pool deck, you're going to get that stuff in a pool, and then you're going to have a bigger problem with that. So you always want to make sure that you're following those guidelines, because if you put too much sand down, it can be a real mess, and then blowing it. And you can always see there's some jobs that I go to that when people seal it, I can tell that they didn't blow the sand off too good, because it looks like shark grip all around the deck.
So
You know?
what about the silica sand and polymer sand? What, I mean, what is, I mean, I know we sell polymer sand, but I don't know anything about the silica sand. That's that gray granite, like, is it finer, I believe?
Yeah, it's a coarse sand, so it's you can get it in different numbers. You know, we use 2630, which is fine grind, but it's easy to push, easy to move. You can go up on it, and you know, the thicker the joints, you want to use a little bit more sand. You know, go up on the numbers on them. But I've used polymeric sand. You got to know what you're doing with polymeric sand. You got to really know what you're doing with that polymeric sand. I've seen a lot of jobs fail because of the dust alone, from the polymeric sand.
And when you go to a job and you're hired to go seal pavers, and they've got a 1972 Ford Pinto that's just leaked oil all over the place. You know, I mean, what I see Michelle say talk about the degreaser. So,
Yeah.
Degreaser? I mean, is that going to work before, or you just flip the pavers over? I've heard guys say that, just pull them up and flip them over. But I don't know.
So we actually have a degreaser, and you know, excuse my language, but it's called kick-ass degreaser, and it's for that reason. It works really, really well. I've used it at the Dunkin' Donuts cleanings before in the past. It works really well on pavers, There's other degreasers out there that work as well, but you know, we really have a cost-efficient degreaser that truly works, and has multiple ingredients in it to where it don't damage stainless steel or polished stuff. So you know, we really put some thought into this.
Yeah, the degreaser we use when we were cleaning like commercial, they've got the aluminum door frames, and you put degreaser on there and it's spotted, and we have to go back and fix it. And you know, it's more time, and time is money. So it doesn't affect the painted aluminum doors.
No.
That is badass.
That is badass. And I tell you, and we've been using it for a while. The most amazing thing about it is just that it's cost efficient. There's so many products I see that it's just so overrated. I'm just gonna say it how it is. It's overrated, and I'm just like, come on, guys. You know, learn the main ingredients that do what they do, and then you can start playing with stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we started washing. We had when we emptied the warehouse to have panhandle, we had so many gallons of buckets of just chemicals that we tried and didn't like, you know, so luckily now, you know, these guys have a platform. They have, you know, all the Facebook groups and all that. They can ask questions. We didn't have that 20 years ago. You know, we were just, you know, I still have to do it sometimes. I had a customer, she said, I don't know how you're going to get that squirrel pee off my house. A squirrel, same squirrel, goes up, climbs on my house and pees down. I mean, it was yellow. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I had some EcoChem products, and what ended up working was a rust remover. But I always just tested a little bit, you know, just a little bit of the thing, because I'm not going to put it on a whole house and like change the color or you know, ruin the finish or whatever. So, you know, there's things that you learn along the way just by testing, but then there's some things that you shouldn't, like putting acid and bleach together. You know, you're going to have a mushroom bomb. Coughing. I mean, you're coughing where the bottom of your lungs hurt. I've had that happen.
I've had that happen and put somebody in the hospital over with a pump sprayer. He opened it up. And it put him in the hospital, and he had some respiratory issues there, and you know, and that's why we always the pump sprayers, you just either color coordinate them, label them, whatever you have to do, so that way you know
Yeah.
what products you have on your trailer or your truck. Because if you don't, it can hurt you.
And make sure you have printed out SDS sheets, because
SDS sheets.
OSHA and DOT does not want to look on your phone because you've got it on your phone. They want paper.
Yeah.
They want it in paper. So
I think you have that. Don't you offer that?
we do.
Yeah, you have
Book,
yeah.
got everything in it.
Everything. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to add some more. I'm going to add a few more. We have a few more products, but any website, any pressure washing store that you buy the chemicals for should have the SDS sheets on their website. We have it. If you scroll down to the bottom, it's an SDS sheet. They're there, so you can print them out yourself.
It said there's Mark Giuliano. Josh, no love, bro. Mark, we love you. We love you.
Wait,
I'm using I'm using my phone. I'm using my phone, Mark. My laptop, the camera on there it's not as good as the phone one.
I don't know. I was at an event with Mark not too long ago, and he was hugging on a man wearing a thong. So I don't know if you know about that yet, but it was very interesting.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about this degreaser. We ain't gonna talk about what she's talking about over there.
It's called honest. What is it? Clean humor. It was clean. It happened. We have pictures.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get a couple 5 gallons of it and try it.
MCA group is where it was. So, okay, Michelle said you put SDS sheets on all your buckets. Awesome. That helps everyone. And I mean, I have so many repeat customers. I would love just to stick it in every box, but I'm like, that is so many. There's so much waste.
Yeah.
So much waste, I mean, I don't want to waste it. That's why it's on the website. Print it out if you need it. If you don't, if it's on your trailer, make sure you have it.
Yeah, and you always got to ask people, how serious are you about your business?
Yeah.
Because if I'm providing you the tools that you need to succeed, you should be having everything ready.
Awesome. And I know you've got the greaser now. Can you bring us some when you come down?
Of course.
Awesome.
Of course.
First time I've heard about this.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Mark thing, the guy was awesome. He took a picture with Mark. It was just a funny thing. I think he had a bow on or something, but it was a funny situation, and we had a good laugh. I think at the PWMC, it was so much fun, and that's like the event. I love it when we're able to get along with our fellow vendors and just network and talk and see what's going on and how the industry changes, because it changes so much all the time. New chemicals, new gadgets, new machines. Now we got the dual machine with one pump. We got all this stuff going on. So it is, it's awesome to get with those people. And your event has got some great numbers. I love it. I can't wait to be there to support you guys.
Oh, we're excited.
And
when is it?
So ours is May 23rd. Yep. So we're gonna have it from 10 to 3. That's just the broad time. It could go into the way how much traffic we got coming in. It's looking like it's probably going to be about 10 to 4, 10 to 5 o'clock. We had to cap it. It was just the numbers. I said to myself, I'm like, all right. When I started looking at tents to get tents out there, I said, I said, we're gonna need a circus one, because we can't, this is a lot of people. And then we changed it up. We were gonna have it catered. Me being a small business owner as well out there and a contractor, I wanted to bring that family vibe back into it. So we're actually gonna have grills going with burgers, hot dogs, drinks. Everything's just gonna be a good atmosphere to just network and learn.
And what was this at?
I like that. I remember, Anthony, the first 2 events that I had, I actually cooked for 400 people. We had pulled pork. I made I had potato salad. I didn't make that, but I made my beans, and we had pulled pork, and it was just But the new place won't let me do that, so unfortunately. Plus, it takes a lot of stress off me. That's a lot to cook for that many people.
Yeah, I was fortunate to have some good friends that support me. I didn't tell them the numbers yet. I just said, bring your grills. So, I'll tell them the night before. And
You got
we'll see if
550 people going to be here. Y'all ready to cook?
No, I've got some friends of mine from youth football that used to coach with me that we're used to that kind of volume. So they're gonna go out there and they're gonna do some cooking. We're gonna set them up with some tents. We're gonna be giving away. Everybody's gonna get a shirt. We've got some major giveaways there. I mean, Trudi, we've got some major giveaways. Somebody may need to bring a forklift with them to take it home. But we're excited about it. But that's after we get through this event here. We're excited to be there. Who knows, Trudi? Maybe I'll try that crawfish.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little spicy. I don't eat it, but I'll make some other food. We love cooking. We feed Anthony comes to visit us all the time. We love feeding people. So it makes it, like you said, it makes it more like a family.
Yes,
We
yes.
just sit down and just talk with each other, and I'm so happy you're doing this event. I'm so happy that Seal and Lock is back to the original, and I'm glad that everybody wants their pavers sealed now. It is,
Yeah.
they have money. They're not worried about it. They're wanting to spend to make their home beautiful because the housing market keeps going up. So they put money into it. They're going to get more out of their home. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And especially down here, it's something that needs to be done every 2 to 3 years.
yeah,
I've got some homeowners that they don't even I say it still looks good, and they're just like, no, we want it redone. And I'm like, all right, no problem. Yeah,
And
that's
that
what you
money.
want. Yeah, that's hey, we did a house yesterday, and right across the street was the owner of Amalie Arena. And it was just a beautiful, stunning house. And she said the same exact thing. She said, I want all this done. And it was about maybe 30,000 square feet of pavers.
yeah, wow.
And she wants it all done, washed, sand, and sealed for her event. And when I got out of the power washing industry and I used to write my estimates. Well, when I was in the power washing industry and I was writing my estimates, when I hit like a $3,000, $4,000 estimate, I was scared to give it to them. Yeah, because I was like, they're gonna shut me down fast. And then when I got into the paper industry, when I started seeing the square footage of things, and I provided an estimate with that, I was like, oh, they're definitely not going to give me this job here. But when you know what the going rate is around you and you start to, keep growing, those numbers tend to be normal.
That's good. Yeah. So when you get more experience, I mean, you can do it so quickly. And it. Do you feel like we got the MoFlow, and we can go do a roof, like a 2,000 square foot home's roof in like 45 minutes. And sometimes they're like, well, are you done? I mean, why are we paying all this money? You're not even been here an hour. It's like, well, you don't pay for it. We're not getting paid by the hour. Do
Yeah.
you get that when you're out there sealing? Do you get people that don't think it's worth what they're paying?
I remember doing a driveway with a 36-inch Maxima 10-gallon a minute motor, okay, an IGX 800. And I remember doing that driveway. I had the driveway, walkway, and sidewalks done in about 15 minutes, and I was wrapped up. The homeowner came out and looked at me and said, I almost don't feel comfortable paying you, Josh.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I said, and at first when I looked at him, I said, sir, I said, did you think I was going to be out here with the Ryobi all day? I said, because that's not, you're paying, this is all professional equipment. We got about $20,000-$30,000 in equipment here,
Yeah.
And he was like, no, is it clean? He says, it looks good. Everything looks good. And I said, you know what? And this is the bad part about it is that it happens to be a neighbor 3 houses down from me. So I got to see this guy. So yeah. So I go right ahead and I tell him, I'm like, you know what? I said, it's okay. You don't have to pay me. I said, it's all right. And he was like, no, we have a deal, Josh. We have a deal. And I looked at him and I was like, no. I said, when you said that to me, I said, that kind of bothered me. I said, because it took me a while to learn my chemicals, and I had to travel to different events like yours and other events to get the education that I got and, to get to where I am now. And it's kind of like an insult, but people, they don't expect you to do that because with all these motors and stuff that you guys are putting out now and selling, I mean, you can get in and out of properties super fast.
Yeah.
So to answer your question on the paver side of that, We do get some of them where they're just like, this is only going to take one day. And I'm like, yes, ma'am, this is just going to take one day. And they're like, and then they'll go out there, but they can't step on it for 24 hours. So you see them inside the windows and the sliding glass doors, and you would think they're sealing with you because they're right there.
Playing
So,
peekaboo with you.
Yeah, hey, we always tell them it costs more for you to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you make me nervous.
I love it when
And
the
that's what happens.
When I'm watching little kids, when I spray the water and they laugh and run away and they have fun.
Yeah. I like to wet the windows on the kids when they're peeking through there, or the dogs. The dogs go crazy.
Oh,
you know,
my dogs do. My dogs are really
but we treat every property, and that's big. Every property is your home.
Mm-hmm.
Every property is your home. So whenever you arrive on a property, I mean, from even walking on their grass, walk the driveway, walk the sidewalks, people look at that kind of stuff. Oh yeah. So you want to treat everything like your home. What do we have here?
Somebody's
still going.
Somebody's going to get blasted.
Sorry, Kelly, on the real education.
So,
Jared, what's up? What's up, Jared?
Jared, bro.
So, Anthony, you just started paver sealing.
I've never paid no seal.
Never. Oh.
No, we don't have them up, man. We got some in some higher end neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But it's nothing like y'all got down there, man. I mean, if it is, it's like the first 5 feet of a driveway, and then it's concrete. Some of them may be every 10 foot. They'll have pavers, or it may be even stamped. I don't know. I ain't really got out and walked up somebody's driveway to look. So I just got it.
That's funny. So we had a guy come help us. We were a friend of ours that moved in. He was in St. Louis, and he wanted to start washing. So he worked with us, and we trained him. And me and him were doing like these streets. They're paver streets, and he was blown away. There was no drains, and I'm just like, that's what the pavers do, and that's also a good selling point to homeowners. Like, well, why should I do that? Why should I seal? Because you can lock that sand in. It avoids the grass from growing, because if the grass goes through, you're not absorbing that water as quickly as you should be, and then you're going to get standing water on pavements, pavers, making more damage.
Right, and you're creating that joint stabilization that is needed from shifting. And that's very, very important. A lot of people tend to seal it for the aesthetics of it. But when you truly understand and you can educate the homeowner why it's so important for you to do this, 9 out of 10 times you're going to seal the deal. That's just the way it is. Education is everything. And it works for distributors as well. When we have distributors, we educate them, because a lot of times the people that work at these places, when they don't know, because they get hired on and they're not educated on it, they see somebody come in with a product and they say, oh yeah, this is the last person I seen walking with that one. I think that one's good. You want to take that one. And then you're using a sealer for, say, travertine, and you're using it on pavers.
Right.
So there's a lot to know with the educational process of it, which we are working on something huge too for that, and it's going to help even you, Trudi. You're going to be able to say, hey, go here, like. But knowing you're going to be all over it.
So we've got Shannon Rosa joined us. David, God, I'm going to ruin that name. So David's here. Lex is here. Hey, Lex. Joe's here. Joe's go.
Try to pronounce that. Trudi. Go ahead. Kaznoka.
Well, yeah, that sounds good. Kaznoka. I think, that's a beautiful flowing name.
Lexi just showed it.
I just put a little girl spin on this, so it's a beautiful flowing name. Feeling like we still have some of that anti-slip stuff. Do you still use that, or is that no longer?
Yes. We still apply that. We use that a lot on travertine.
Okay.
To create traction, because travertine is not as porous as pavers, so a little bit goes a long way with travertine, and I think that's where people get confused with how much product you would need for travertine. There's different tips and tricks that I've done that was taught to me, like, say, the microfiber mop.
Yeah.
Applying the sealer and mopping it on really nice, so you're not oversaturating the stone. I've learned the sock trick. I can't tell you how many. I don't think I own a pair of matching socks in this house because every job that I'm on,
Okay,
we're
so
taking.
you just take your shoes off and use your feet to do it, or is there a different trick?
No.
Okay,
so
okay.
so so a lot of times people use the brush for the coping of pools. We use a pair of socks. So we'll take a plastic glove and we'll put it on and we'll put a sock over our hand because a sock you can cuff.
Yeah.
So when you dip it into the sealer, you drench it into the bucket so you're not getting that excess inside the pool, and you rub the coping.
Nice.
So you're getting done faster,
Yeah.
and you're not there with a brush and having that sealer go into that pool. So there's different tips and tricks. I mean, there's no right and wrong way for that kind of stuff. But the more you learn, the more jobs you go on, and the more people are around you, you tend to pick a little bit from everybody and put your own story together.
So we did a big pool deck, all pavers, and Shane always gives me the crappy jobs. I mean, always. He doesn't. We've got to get iron removal off the street. He's driving, I'm walking behind spraying. I mean, this is how it works out. So we did this, and then the pool has got little rounded edges, and I would be using a sponge and just dip the sponge in there and get all that just above the water line before the pool tiles, just to make sure it's all done. So I tell you what, I had bruised knees for weeks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then working in the mail industry and a whole bunch of guys in my employment, I had a lot of questions to answer.
Trudy, I had a guy that decided to pick a pail up by the handle of mixed products. Okay. Now this was a beautiful house in Clearwater, Florida, right on the beach, beautiful. And he picks up the bucket and he's walking with it and he's in a rush. And before I can tell him, be careful, he drops a whole bucket of mixed product inside of a swimming pool. Okay. I had to ride that wave for about a week, and it cost me a lot of money to drain the pool, put new water in the pool. Okay. And it was a saltwater pool at that.
Oh gosh. I hate that.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So but these are things, looking back at it, I always say we need it. You grow through what you go through. So, I needed that to happen in order to understand how to, be a little more careful, or to teach the guys like ahead of time, hey, I've had this happen. Please be careful. We don't want this to happen again. So at the time I was upset. And then it was a good friend of mine as well. And he tells me, he's like, well, I mean, you still made a profit on it. And I looked at him, and needless to say, that was the last time he came on a job with me.
So, another thing guys don't want to spend the money on is the little carts that you put the buckets in. The battery operated carts. I know our first one had tiny little caster wheels. That was a nightmare on pavers. I mean, I would have to actually follow Shane around another crappy job with the bucket, pushing the bucket around behind him, and making sure it didn't spill over. And while he's saying, "I swear, if that dumps, I'm gonna be mad because that's the last bucket we got." So it was that was my job behind him on that. But it's what carts do you have now? Have they been improved since then? Do you guys sell carts for that?
Yeah, so we sell actually our pail pump systems. The pail pump systems, they mount right on top of the bucket. Okay. So they'll lock right in place on it. But of course, we always tell people you can never guarantee that it's going to hold it in there like that. So just be careful when you're picking up the bucket, or if you feel a little bit that it's coming up a little bit, just be cautious about it. But we have, I'm seeing these messages, this is crazy. Yeah, it's nonsense. But so we have those, and they run off of the DeWalt batteries. Now I've seen people build their own sprayers, and I'm not saying that they don't work or they do work. I don't know. I mean, I've tried it before. It didn't work for me, and it's not because I work for the company. It's because it truly didn't work for me. And that's why I give people my knowledge. It's not for the company. It's because I was a contractor and I know what's out there. So we do have the pail pump systems. I use mine. I mean, we can seal fast.
Yeah.
Now, I do wish that we can put it on a dolly, because having to carry that bucket around, say, for instance, yesterday we sealed 4,000 square feet. That's about 4,200. And I can tell you, good thing he was a former NFL player, so he was kind of built. He would pick the pail up and he would walk with me as I'm spraying.
That would have been my job.
They got dollies for that, brother.
I know. Actually, a buddy of mine just sent me a message and has four of them.
We'll call C3 and see if we can't get you one of them.
Oh, Casey over there, tell Casey I need one. But they're real nice. They're nice to have, especially if you're like I said, how serious are you about your business? You know what I mean? Invest in yourself, and equipment. Equipment is good. And another thing that I stress hard on these trainings is the loyalty. Nobody wants to talk about the loyalty, right? When you have a good power washing store around you, or you build a relationship with somebody who owns a store or something like that, stay with them. Stay with them. Don't keep jumping ship. If you think that we don't know, we know. Everybody talks in this industry, but your loyalty with your power washing stores, with your sealer companies. If you found a product that works good for you, stay with that, because when something goes wrong, and say, for instance, a job screws up and it's not, from us or the product, it's because of user error. And you call us and you say, hey, Josh, I've been on this situation. I got this paver deck that just went sour on me. The relationship that we have, most likely we're going to help you out, because we know that it's going to cost you money and we want to see you guys make money. Because if you don't succeed, we don't succeed. It's just the way it goes. So the loyalty is big on it, Trudi. I mean, you've got a lot of love and support in the industry. We've been at conventions together. I see it all the time, and the way you walk and everybody just shows you so much love, shows that you're doing your part in the industry, and other people as well. So the loyalty is really, really big with the people.
It is. And, when you do have, I work with so many other vendors. We work together. If I don't have the product, I will call all the other vendors and ask if they have it, because the customer needs it for a job. I could get it in 3 weeks, and then they'll have to wait, but then they'll have to push their job. So, I've built a relationship with the other vendors that take care of their customers. I choose like-minded vendors like myself to put people first and not their self. And, I mean, you can, North Georgia Airless, Casey, Manatee, Heath at Texas. We do Tim Cray. I had a customer that needed tanks for a build, and it was some soap, and I didn't have it, and maybe bark or something, and they were in California. So I'm like, hey, you know what? Here's Tim Cray's number. He's in Oregon and get it to you quick. And, somebody reached out to me, wanted a 100-gallon tank. I said, where are you at? He's like, in Oregon. And I'm like, well, Tim Cray's in Oregon. It's going to cost you $200 to ship it to you. He's right there. Just get it from him. Save you money. I'd rather them use that money for marketing and getting more jobs than, wasting it on shipping. So, I mean, the vendor camaraderie is strong, and it's good. And, I've had Lori also has sent some stuff out for me, and we back and forth. It's a great business. I love it. Not being able to be out in the truck anymore because of my neck. That's probably from all the crappy jobs Shane gave me. Now I come to think of it. But now I'm more able to be. I'm glad we have the warehouse to spend more time here and do my educational videos and be able to do the training and come to support guys like you when you guys are doing training, and other people. I missed the PWNA or MCA this year because I just had my surgery. But I go to these events just to support the people there. And I know people do when I have my event. I've got other vendors coming in to support me. So it's great to have that. And there are people in the industry that are great. And there are people in the industry that are still learning to be great. But, the mistakes they make or the dumb questions they ask, I don't think there's a dumb question. There might be a dumb answer, but there's not a dumb question. And, just know the source you're getting your information from, because there's a lot of guys that haven't done it for years and don't know. So I'm not going to say they're gurus. They're just more experienced in the field.
Yeah. I tell my kids that. I tell them all the time. I say, hey, listen, guys, only a fool thinks they know it all, So just ask what you need to ask. If you're not sure, it's okay, because you might have helped out. I see it online on the resources online where somebody asks a question to some people and they see them, but it helps so many people. you know? So, and those are usually the types of questions that people don't want to ask,
Right.
you know? Say, for instance, if somebody jumps on and says, hey, what's SH? I mean, I've seen these groups come in and say, you don't know what this is. And I'm like, guys, help them out. You know what I tend to do? I private message. I don't, when I see that
That's
in
what I
groups
do.
and stuff, yeah, I don't get involved in the comments. I go directly. I'll either call you on Messenger or I'll send you a message and say, hey, give me a call so I can educate you on this, because you can really shut somebody's motivation down.
Yeah, it is.
You
And
know,
a lot of guys that are just starting out, they don't have the self-esteem and to have confidence in themselves to do it. And then when they ask a question and they just get dragged through the mud, that brings that confidence and that self-esteem down. And for somebody that could be amazing at the industry, may just give up because they don't want to deal with all the drama and the crap.
yeah, yeah. It's big. It's big. That's why I get excited when people want to learn. When they come and they ask questions or they call the warehouse and they say, hey, can we speak to somebody about a product and stuff? Michelle will send them right to me, or Michelle will even educate them, because a lot of the men, you know, the contractors tend to think that the women don't know. And here's the trick. I hate to say it like this to them, but they're very smart in this industry, and they can seal some pavers, they can wash some houses, they can wash some roofs, and they can teach you a lot of tricks.
Well, women in the industry went from 6% last year to 10% this year. So we have faith. We're building. We're going up now. We're getting there. Well, now maybe 9%. I'm not there. No, I'm still in the industry. I can still help however I can. But anyway, we are out of time. Is there anything you want to say? Just plug your event, and then Anthony will shamelessly plug my event, because I don't like to, talk about myself. So
yeah. Well, I'm just gonna say, guys, listen, if you haven't registered to go to Trudi's event, make sure you register. When we do trainings, we bring a lot of education. We don't just talk about wash, sanding, and sealing. I'm in the industry. I know the washing and everything from houses, roofs, and so on. It's not just pavers, but these events really help you. They help your business. It's a fresh breath air. So just make sure that you lock in. And if you are coming down to Florida and you haven't registered to our event, May 23rd, we have a huge event going down at the warehouse. You can register. You can come follow us on Seal and Lock on our Facebook and our Instagram. And you can just come on down and have some fun and get some education. We got some big things going on.
I'm going to have put the link up there real quick for my event.
Awesome.
If you ain't gotten, and that'll be at panhandleexpo.com. If you ain't registered for the Panhandle event, Alana's going to post it right here shortly before we get off here for everybody to have it one last time. And Josh and his crew is going to be at the warehouse, at the Panhandle warehouse in Freeport.
On the 10th.
May the 10th.
Yes, 9 a.m. We're going to start.
That is a week away. So it's free.
Yep.
You're going to be eating crawfish.
Well, I'll have coffee and juice and like baked goods for the.
Oh, yeah. So if anybody wants to come out, you're more than welcome to come out and join the event. There'll be a lot of good training going on.
And register, because I need to know how many bags of crawfish to get.
Yeah.
It's important.
Dig them out. Dig them out, Trudi.
All right, guys.
When she signs off, Josh, don't you leave.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, guys. You guys have a great day. Night.